Hey, welcome back to the Branding for Abundance podcast. This is your host, Dr. TK, clinical psychologist and #1 therapist business coach. So in today's episode, I want to address a huge topic that comes from clients in my private practice academy, along with the general public of awesome therapists that are on the various platforms that, we stay in communication with each other, like on Instagram and stuff. And so one of the questions that I get a lot is like, how do you launch a product? How do you know which product to launch? And so in today's episode, I specifically want to slow down the conversation and talk about 4 things to consider before launching your products or services. Because sometimes we get so excited just to put something out there, but if we're not taking our time and being intentional with putting out a product that we're going to continuously be in love with, that can serve as a problem later on, especially as you grow in your business and maybe even become more clear about how you want to spend your time in your business. And so in our Mastermind program, that program is open up every year. At the time of this recording, it is 4th quarter 2021. So we actually sold out of our program back in September for the year of 2022. That program will not open back up until the fall of 2022. Nevertheless, they continue, at least in the beginning of their program, to wonder, how was I able to launch the program that they're in, which is a coaching program? And then how was I able to launch digital products, whether I am present or it's more of a passive income source in my business or stream of income? So I want to talk to you today about the 4 things you should consider before launching products or services, especially in the mental health field. And so number 1, and each category is going to have like subcategories. All right. But the first category is having clarity about the product that you are launching. And so I think that clarity is thrown around way too much. And some people will say that they're clear. I've said that I was clear. And then like a week later, I changed my mind. And so when I mean clear, what I'm looking at when you talk about a launch is the first stage of clarity is, are you launching a physical product? Are you launching a digital product? Or are you launching a service? So for example, physical product would be, I'm launching a cell phone. Digital product would be, I am launching an ebook. Right? An online course. A service would be, I'm launching a mental health practice, or I'm launching a one-on-one coaching program in which I'm going to be working with my students for a specific amount of time. You want to first get clarity on what type of product you want to launch, just in the general category. And then the next step down, just think of this like a funnel. The next step down is, if you choose specifically a program, like a coaching program, even a therapeutic program, do you have a framework? I am not saying that you should go lock yourself in a cave, aka your home office, and spend months and months and months building the entire online course. Because in this day and age, a lot of online course creators, including myself, stopped pre-creating courses, and we do what's called beta launches. And beta launches is actually a benefit to the clients that we serve in that program, because sometimes it's of lower cost, it's more intimate, and it's because it's our first group of people, they actually get to give us feedback to enhance the program, and then they also get the enhanced program. So that's one of the benefits of bringing on people to help you flush out what is your framework. And you want to think about your framework as far as, how do you get your client or customer from point A to B? That can be the exact same thing with a digital or physical product. Why are they going to purchase your product? That would be the presenting problem. Like, what are you helping them solve? And then how is their life going to look different once the problem is solved? In the middle is the framework. Okay. So an example would be the Dope Therapist Academy program. And technically all of my programs have the same framework. It's just leveled up based on if someone wants, general profitability in a private practice, meaning growth. Then they want to learn the foundational methods of building up systems in their office to scale, then actually launching products and services to scale their business, AKA streams of income. So my framework is BRAND. So B is blueprint. So if I'm looking at the Dope Therapist Academy in terms of profitable private practices, blueprint is, what is your business plan, your vision for your business in the next 5 years? Is it written down? And then of course there's multiple components that makes it like not a regular business plan. It's a therapist business plan. Okay. So then you look at R, which is reach. How do you reach your ideal clients? Who is your ideal client? How do you create a marketing funnel to get in front of your ideal clients? And then the A is for automation. How can we automate and really look at your back office to see if it's running smoothly so that you can start getting your time back? Because the goal for all my clients is to not be their own receptionist as they grow. In the beginning, yeah, they may be the only person sending the client's paperwork, answering the phones, doing the consultations. But over time, the DTA program shows them what's possible. And then as they grow, they can decide, okay, when do I need to hire someone else? Then we go into niche, the N. So what is your niche? This is a word that's thrown around way too much in the community. And I specifically remember it was like a few cohorts ago, I received feedback from one student, because I go back and read the feedback, y'all, from coaching sessions. And somebody said that they thought that I was going to spend more time talking about niche. So I went back into the Facebook group after I read it and I said, I think that there's a false impression of what you believe that niche is. And I wasn't talking to the student. I was actually talking to all the therapists, because afterward, their responses was exactly what I had thought. They thought that niche should look like an entire course, breaking down something that they don't know what it's supposed to include. And really, niche is you honing in on what is your gift, honing in on who do you want to share that gift with, and then being committed to showing up as the authority figure to serve those people with various products, maybe beyond a private practice, but you're showing up as the expert. You're branded as the expert. So a niche could be, like I spoke about in my previous podcast episode, being the couples expert. That's what I was known for. And then I had a book on top of that. Then I was having couples, activities and workshops for that. So yeah, I was known as the expert. And guess what? I had a full-fledged Facebook group for it. I had an Instagram page for it. I would go live and specifically talk about healthy relationships. I was showing up as the person that is aligned with who I'm serving, and I am the expert in that area. So it's really about mindset and how you show up, okay? Then delegation in the framework is exactly what it sounds like. Letting go of power as a business owner, and then delegating tasks off your plate so that you can truly see what it feels like to leverage your time and get your time back. But the reason why I say that framework is technically used across my entire business is it doesn't matter which program someone is in. At the end of the day, even at a CE workshop, you have to come in knowing what you want the end result to be, right? That's the blueprint. And I'm going to give you the blueprint to help you do whatever you came to do. That's the objectives in a CE course. And then the reach. How am I going to get in front of my ideal clients, AKA therapists, to let them know that these things are possible? And I can keep going on and on, but it doesn't matter what I do. I can apply that framework. And as you just witnessed, I can just spit it out so easy, like I'm talking to my family or friends, like shooting a breeze. It doesn't take me a long time, because with practice and me implementing that framework and getting social proof that it works, and I know that it works clearly by our graduation rate of how many people have went through our programs and have been able to leave their jobs or chose to stay at their job and have streams of income, have a group practice, whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Our programs have social proof that my BRAND framework works. But the only way that I was able to find out if it works is if I put it in front of somebody and tested it out. And then whatever didn't work, don't quit, but tweak it. Okay. So another thing, we're still under clarity, is why do you want to launch it? Do you want to launch it because it's a fad, or do you want to launch it because you actually see this as part of your, what we call your branding ascension model for long term? Or is this going to be a one-time thing? Maybe only somebody may have thrown a webinar specifically related to going into the new decade. I know I did, just for 2020, but that's not something that I do every single year, but it was a new decade, not just a new year. So you really want to sit down and ask yourself, why do you want to launch not just a product, but this particular product? And then lastly, under clarity is your product or service needed? Have you polled your audience? Have you polled people that you know? Have you polled people on Instagram? You definitely don't want to create a product or service because you think that other people need it and you have no proof. So you do have to go out there and do what's called marketing research to determine if what you want to offer people are actually looking for. So that's clarity. The second category is you have to know what is a launch cycle. Now, I do go in depth about this in our Mastermind program because those students are launching stuff throughout the entire year. But as for yourself, if this is very new to you, 2 things you want to think about as it relates to launch cycles, also known as sales cycles, is you want to have the date of when your services or product will be offered or start. So what day will your book launch? Like on the day in the year, or what day will your coaching program or therapy group start? Once you determine the date, then you can create what I consider a branding marketing timeline. So a branding marketing timeline will also indicate how long you have to promote. And you also have to decide how you're going to promote that product or that service. And that's where coaching comes in, because that's where me launching various products and services through my business is. I can help the therapist because of my experiences, and I also can help them fast forward the process, because why, as a business owner, would you want to spend another year, even 5 or 10 years, looking for the answer when I can shortcut you the answer in like 10 hours collectively, or 10 months, right? If we're working on various things like the Mastermind, but heck, DTA, if we look at all the lessons, it technically can be 10 hours, then you got to go and do the workbook. So why would you spend another year trying to do it yourself? It doesn't make sense, okay? Now let's move on to the third area, which is launch preparation. So let's just say you've become very clear, I want to launch a physical book, okay? Then you created the framework for what this book is going to allow people to experience in terms of transformation in their life or certain components of their life. Then you created the launch cycle. You decided what day it's going to launch, and then you created your timeline and figured out your marketing plan, right? Hopefully with help, but maybe by yourself. The next phase is to go into launch preparation. So 3 things you want to consider with launch preparation is, do you need help? Do you need help with promoting things on social media in terms of creating your graphics, copywriting? Do you need to write emails? Do you need to record videos? Do you need those videos edited? Do you need to network with other people? And a whole list of other things. Second, under launch preparation is this a new product, like has nothing to do with your ideal client avatar and your other service or services? Or is this an additional product that you can add on to services or products that you already offer? So my foundations book was an extension of the work that I was already doing. And technically that book was offered to couples. It was also offered to parents, because they are a couple. It was also offered to some of my singles, men and women that came in, and they just wanted to learn even how to have a mature conversation with themselves so that they can prepare for a healthy relationship. So that's the next phase in terms of launch preparation. And then lastly, do people know you are the expert in this field? That comes down to branding. You cannot expect, and this is what happens, and I've seen it happen with my students, and this is why the launches don't go as planned. And what I tell my students is, I really want you to look back at this experience and not get upset as far as you not hitting your numbers, but ask yourself, what else could you have done? This is what we do with our therapy clients. If they did not do their homework assignment, who or what got in their way and served as a barrier for them not being able to complete their homework assignment? Okay. So we want to ask ourselves those questions. And some of my students have definitely realized that the reason why their product or service was not selling is because they heavily relied on Instagram and Instagram only. They heavily relied on the other people in the mastermind promoting their product or service. And most importantly, they did not go and get in front of new people. So what I'm also saying is that my program, especially the Mastermind, it's not created to serve everything under the umbrella and sun for mental health businesses. I am very clear. If you want to start and grow a group practice, I'm here for you. If you want to learn how to launch your first digital product or maybe a membership site, something like that, I'm here for you, right? But I'm not going to teach you Facebook ads. I'm not going to break down from beginning to end an entire webinar. I will help you build out the skeleton of your webinar, but I'm not going to help you slide by slide. I'm not going to give you a full-blown template. I mean, I will give them some templates, but they're not going to get every single thing. So I'm sharing that with you because this is why myself, I have invested in various coaching programs, even at the same time. I have one coach right now where their whole focus is on performance as a leader in the business. His other program that I was a part of 2 years ago was solely focused on becoming a digital CEO. But I realized that after I created my digital products, I was now ready to scale them beyond just revenue goals. Yes, that's important, but also working less. Because when you first start creating digital products like online courses, you're probably on the grind. Like you're just making sure that your systems work, your product work, you're getting social proof. So you may be doing webinars all the time, but over time, I will hope that that is not your life, right? So you want to make sure that you can get in front of new people so that people can know that you exist as the expert in the field. So let's move into the fourth and last segment as it relates to launching a product. So it's called debriefing. Oh my gosh, this is one of the areas that I talk to my students about all the time because I have told them time and time again, do a debriefing when you do a launch. But debriefing really requires you to sit down and look at your numbers. So a debrief includes, but is not limited to, the following. Results driven so that you can repeat, change, or enhance what you've done. You want to look at the results. If I'm looking at a Dope Therapist Academy webinar or a boot camp, how many people signed up? How many people signed up? If it's on Facebook, how many people on average were showing up? Facebook does show me stats in terms of how many impressions, meaning how many people saw it in my Facebook group. So that way at least give me an idea of replays, right? How many people from the boot camp or the webinar actually signed up for the academy? Those are data-driven results. And of course, that equates to revenue being earned in my business. And then of course, we can break that down some more. Who paid in full, who did a 7-pay, and then who did another installment plan that we offered, at the last 48 hours. I'm going to take that information and determine, do I just repeat the same system? But when I repeat it, of course, do I change something, like swap something out, or do I enhance it? So this, like literally today, I made a decision in terms of how I'm going to change and enhance something in my business, but I don't think about it as a complete change because I've done it before. It's just more of like, I tested out a lot of stuff in 2020 and 2021, and I realized what will be working for me specifically around time, leveraging my time, because I've recognized that I love doing one particular launch because of the rapport building aspect. But when I look at how much energy and time goes into that, sometimes it doesn't make sense, right? So I want to be able to utilize a variety of different launch styles, but me to plan them out. So that is me repeating a system that I already know that works, but I'm enhancing my system by also using clarity to become clear on what do I want my next year to look like. Hope that makes sense. So look at your results and then determine moving forward not to give up. What do you need to change or enhance to do it again, but do it better? Okay. Next thing you want to think about in terms of debriefing is clients or customers. So do you want to have like coaching clients, therapy clients, or maybe passive income, buying a mug, buying a t-shirt? You just simply want to have customers. Online courses can have customers, meaning it's a self-paced course. There's no Facebook group. Even if it is a Facebook group, maybe you've trained your team to go into the Facebook group. You're not in there. There is no type of access to you, maybe unless they get to your mastermind program. Okay. So that's one way. Who do you want to serve? Clients or customers? Engagement or lack thereof, right? Another one is goals met for service. You want to review, as I mentioned with results, did you hit your goals that you set out at the beginning of the launch? You have to sit down and create goals. Think about a SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time. The time is your launch cycle of when the cart is going to close, when your enrollment is going to close for your program, or etc. Maybe you have an evergreen product like a book and it's always up for sale, but maybe when people buy it when it first comes out, maybe they get something special. I'm not sure, whatever you want to do, So goals met for service. You also want to look at what is your goal for revenue and did you meet it? You also want to ask yourself, were there any barriers? So I'll share with you what happened in this recent launch, the October launch for Dope Therapist Academy. I recently was testing out a new email system that has a lot of automation that I like. Do I need it? I'm not really bought into I need it. It just really highlighted that there's a lot to be learned. Okay. But nevertheless, I went into the situation believing that something may go wrong because I'm using a new software. And I should have probably never said that. But I did, and I felt like I attracted some of this, right? So what ended up happening, we opened cart to the public on Monday. An email was sent every day, sometimes multiple emails in a day because it's a 5-day launch and it closes cart. You can't join after the close cart. But then something crazy happened on Thursday. I recognized that I didn't get any sales and I'm like, what is going on? Then I realized that the emails didn't get sent. They hadn't received an email from Thursday morning and I caught it on Friday. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they didn't get the Thursday evening email, which was pertinent information. They also didn't get the Friday email saying you got 24 hours left. Now, the great part is I had the bootcamp group. So a lot of people heard the announcement still because I was in there doing bonus sessions and then I also had additional things being, promoted in the group, right? Pictures and stuff and videos. And so needless to say, I was able to close out a cohort of 21 students, but it always makes me think if that extra 2 emails would have went through on time, would somebody else have signed up? That is a barrier that I need to make sure is fixed when I go into my new launch, okay? Or next launch. Lastly, what I want to share with you under debriefing is when will you launch again or will you launch again? Maybe the launch showed you that you don't even like the product or service that you created. I've done that and it's maybe taking me some time. And most of the time, it's not that I don't like the product or service. It's just that I overextended myself, if this sounds familiar. And I realized that I'm cutting out time. And even though this is a good revenue generating activity, my time is worth more, especially with me having children and a husband. Okay. So in terms of will you launch again, if you do launch again, thinking about this entire process, what will you change or what will you enhance? And a tip is don't do too many changes, because if you do too many changes, actually it's going to slow down your progress because you're probably not going to see all the results because you don't really know what you should be measuring against, specifically because like your systems have changed. Okay, so let me just summarize the 4 things to consider when you're launching a product or service. You want to identify your clarity. What are you clear on in terms of if it's going to be a physical, digital, or service style product? What is your launch cycle or your sales cycle? What is your launch preparation? And then did you do a debriefing or are you going to plan on doing a debriefing process? So do you want to learn more as a mental health therapist of how to launch a product or service strategically, even beyond private practice? Do you want to take the overwhelm out of launching a product or service? Because that's sometimes why we don't launch anything. So I would encourage you to, if you're not already, check out our Manifest a Profitable Mental Health Business Facebook. That link is in the show notes. Also, I would highly encourage you to get on my text community list. My text community lists are the first ones that find out about anything that I'm doing. And I will let you know that I have some epic things coming up in the year of 2022. So all you have to do is text the word abundance to 310-388-8603. And keep in mind that across all platforms and my email list, I have a list of over 60,000 people. So if you're on that list, or if you're part of my community with the Dope Therapist Academy or the Elite Coaching Mastermind, they already know part of the perk of them joining that program is that they will get VIP access to know about something, whether it's a CE workshop, a live event, the Mastermind enrollment, the Academy enrollment, whatever it is. If you're part of that community, the text community, or my coaching community, you will always find out first. And the last thing I want to share with you as to why this is very important is because certain things will have a limit. They may have a time limit of when you can enroll. It may be very short. It may be 5 days. But some things also will have a space limitation, especially around live events, okay? So if this podcast episode has touched you in any way as a mental health therapist, please make sure to follow my podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway from today's episode. And then also share this episode and my platforms with other mental health therapists that you know they want to live life abundantly and also have a profitable business. And so thank you for your time today, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.